Sponsored by Black Magic Design, the world's highest quality products for the feature film, post and broadcast industries. blackmagicdesign.com. And by JMR Rentals, professional digital cinema and broadcast equipment rentals in Brooklyn, New York. jmrny.com.
Hello and welcome to No Rest for the Weekend. I'm Jason Godbey, and today on the program we're continuing our coverage of the Slamdance Film Festival. Joining me now via Zoom, she is the director of the new documentary, Nina is an Athlete. It's Ravit Markus. Welcome, Ravit.
Thank you so much for having me.
Hey, it's great to have you. Where are you coming to us from?
Los Angeles.
Okay, and then you're going to be at the festival. Congratulations, by the way, on premiering at Slamdance.
Thank you. It's incredible. I'm very proud because I'm actually a Slamdance graduate. I had a film there just last year, and it won the audience award too. So it feels glorious to come back.
That's amazing. That's awesome. I saw the film. I got a chance to see the film last night. I thought it was really well done, and I really thought it looked like a labor of love. It looked like one of those types of documentaries, and I want to know more about it. But first, for those who don't know, what can you tell us about the film? Can you tell us kind of what it's about and sort of how it came to be?
Absolutely. First of all, you are 100% right. It is very much a labor of love. It was made for a shoestring budget. It was very hard to get support for it. But it's not just love, it's actually family love, because I made it with my sister-in-law, who's about her sister-in-law. So it's part of why we had such amazing access to the participants in the film, because we're all family. Obviously, this got knowing each other to a whole new level of intimacy, but the access was there from the start, luckily, because of that family connection. So it's all family love and support.
What was it about Nina's story that made you want to make a movie?
So I admit it started with a very shallow premise, which was just, I want to make a sports documentary. They're always so cool. And I thought to myself, but I don't know any successful athlete. How will I get access to a successful athlete if I don't know anyone? And the next day, the mother of my sister-in-law, Edith Kessel, just texted me, "Oh, I'm so proud of my daughter-in-law. Look at her. She just won another medal." And she sent me this article about Nina Gorodsetsky winning yet another medal. She has so many. And I thought, I have my athlete. I have a documentary. Obviously, once we started filming, I called my sister-in-law, Levi Kessel, who's a wonderful documentary filmmaker in her own right, and said, "Do you mind going and filming a little bit, seeing if your brother, Dor Kessel, and his wife are even good on camera? She might have a good story, but not on camera. Maybe she's good on camera, but the story isn't great. Let's even see if there's something there, because just wanting to make a sports documentary is not enough." And after one day, she said, "Wow, I think we have an amazing story." Turns out she's actually vying for the Paralympics, because turned out that in 2018, when we started filming, it was around the time that the Paralympics announced that for the first time, badminton is going to be an official event. So the story got so much interesting. Suddenly our heroine had a clear goal, and that made it a much more engaging story. And we could also see from the first footage I could see that Nina and Dor are just fantastic on camera, and the same her main coach, Leon Pugac, just fantastic and a pleasure to watch. They're so natural, they're so comfortable in front of the camera. They totally forget that we're there, partly again because we're family and know each other, and that made things very easy. That they're just so charismatic, they have a great sense of humor. The banters are just a pleasure to watch.
It's very like cinema verite. Every interview is like on the fly. You don't have any like sort of polished sit down interviews. There's not a ton of voiceover narration or anything like that. Was that a conscious style choice on your part in terms of like, we want to get this while it happens?
Yes, I would say that there's two things here. One is, yes, the story just unfolded naturally, so film-like, that I thought, wow, if I would have written this as an with a fiction script, people would have said this is too contrived. It doesn't work this way. Things just naturally unfolded in a way that, like I said, first she had a goal, then she had her challenge with her own personal debate if what's more important to her, to have a baby or to keep just plugging with intense training for the Paralympics. Then COVID-19 hit, everything changed. It was just this story unfolding in front of our eyes. So this was just happening. And it almost felt, as we were editing, wrong to stop that natural progression and insert something that didn't happen on the fly. At the same time, there's also the budgetary constraints, which was, I thought from it would have been nice to have some animation story showing her rise to the top of Mount Olympus and all that. And would have been nice to have this beautiful sit down interview where we get everything that we might have missed on the way. And it just, because during COVID, it definitely was harder to film. We had to wait for days when COVID restrictions were lifted, and you had to be very careful about how do you come to approach your subject if you don't want to bring any disease to their home as well. But it felt that, again, budgetary to have this beautiful sit-down interview with 3 cameras and the lighting, it's expensive. And it felt also like by now it's going to be foreign to the film, which means I like that the film is in the style of the main participants. And Nina is such a no-frills, just direct person, and I wanted to keep that spirit, and in a way the film is her, so it's congruent with her type and her character.
There's stuff that seems to come up in the film that wasn't something that you guys would have scripted, so like, did you kind of get the feeling that, like, did you know that she was maybe thinking about having another child? Did you, like, because that's a big decision for her, but it's also a big decision for you. Because, like, it's like, well, we've been filming all this time. What if she just drops out and has a baby? Kind of thing. And she doesn't do the Olympics, then we got half a movie here. Was that a surprise to you, or like, how did you deal with that?
It was quite nerve-wracking. We really felt we might end up with nothing, and it is very depressing when you spend time following a person. At the same time, you have to be respectful, and in a way, this fear became the core of the film, this very womanly debate. Am I taking a risk that might harm my professional aspirations because I really have this maternal desire, and I don't want to miss that boat either? And so many women face this that in a way I said, you know what, we're just going to roll with it, and this will be the heart of the story. And obviously we got lucky, and she got lucky. She went with her gut. I don't want to spoil her, but things worked out for her. And in a way, that's Nina. Things just a lot of times just go the way she wants. Obviously not always. She doesn't win every game, but she's a go-getter, and she trusts her instincts. And that to me was an important story to tell. A woman that does listen to herself, puts her very feminine priorities on top of everything, and still gets what she wants. It's encouraging to all of us as women and as athletes and as humans.
It's also one of those things that I don't see a lot of movies about, like people having to make that decision about, because one of the storylines is that she's approaching 40, which, for the biological clock, that's kind of like a scary, it can be a scary cutoff date. And I thought she was just immensely brave, not even for just wanting those 2 things, but just to let somebody film it. Was there any doubt on her part? Did she ever see anything, or what's I look terrible today, I don't want to, I don't want to do this, or I didn't play well, or I don't want this to be shown? Like, was there any of pushback in that way from her?
Definitely, but not in a real way of you're not putting this. There were definitely moments you're like, don't film this. But then when she saw the film, she accepted everything. Like I said, she's such an honest person that I think she accepted the honesty of the film and trusted me that I'm doing my best to tell an honest story. And an honest story with a fully realized characters shows them also not at their best moments. So she accepted the film the way it was, even though there's moments when she definitely cringed. And even interestingly enough, she's a very confident, strong woman. But she definitely, at first, when I even just said, "Okay, I want you to watch it," just when it was ready, I wanted to see it because I didn't want to show it to the whole world, wild world, before she actually gets to watch it. It's unfair. And the first thing she said, "What? An hour and a half, just me?" It was just before we totally finished everything, and it was a little bit longer. And so it was adorable. And then you thought, "What? And 90 minutes just focus on me? What's there to watch so long?" And I love that humility about her. And I do want to also mention, when you talked about these uncomfortable moments, that like I said, we didn't get a lot of support, but two wonderful organizations that supported me were NIWIFT, Newark Women in Film and TV, who gave me the Lorien Arbus, the Disability Awareness Completion Grant that really helped, and Gesher Film Fund in Israel that helped fund the film. But another organization that really got behind me was an organization called Forward Doc, Filmmakers with Disabilities. And they actually did a preview screening for me before I finished my last cut to give me feedback. And the main feedback I got from especially women there was exactly what you said. I've never seen such an honest depiction of motherhood, of disability, what it's like to travel as a disabled mother. What are the last things you say to your spouse when you're leaving, and you don't want him forgetting that the kid needs a haircut and that what he needs to take to school? And that honesty and authenticity, they said, like you, that it's rare, that they don't see enough of it. And I'm proud that I'm contributing now this additional piece of art to the world that has that.
I'm kind of wondering what you left out at this point. Like, what was, you know, like what were the decisions like about, like, how, okay, so we're going to show this real story, but how do we keep it moving? How do we keep it entertaining? Telling the truth is not always the most entertaining thing. So was there like a balance of that? Was that a struggle with you and your editor? Like, what were those discussions like?
My editor, Nina Gorodsetsky, was wonderful. So we usually agreed on a lot of things. One thing that, for instance, I wanted, and he thought, no, it's not fun movie-wise, was this moment when the men in her delegation laughed, that because her problem was she wanted to have a baby, but she tours so much to competitions. She was always ovulating when she was out of town. So this was just this technical problem. And like I said, she's brutally honest. So she would just talk about it, say, "I'm ovulating now and I'm stuck here in Turkey and I can't do it." And they just laughed and said, "Oh, we got to run away. Who knows? He might jump us." And she just said, "Not you and not you have any chance." And I thought that was just so funny. But a little bit kind of mean of her, just putting the men in her team down a little bit, or maybe taking them down a peg. But he said, "No, that makes it's all too creepy." So we definitely have moments like that where it's a debate. And the same when, look, sometimes when you say that you want something, then if you don't get it, it's much harder. So during the film, she would say sometimes, "Well, if I don't get in, it's not the end of the world." And I think it was her defending herself, because as an athlete, you have to be very strong. You have to be able to accept with strides the losses. You lose a lot. For every game you win, you lose a few. We showed there's so many medals, but I'm sure for all these medals, there's a lot of losses too. So I think, so this we kept out because we thought in a film, you want to see your character saying, "I have to have this. If I don't get this, I'm ruined." So and I know because her truth, like you said, it's the real truth is she wanted it badly. Because as you know, we had this turn of events when it looked like she wasn't getting what she wanted, and she was devastated. She was wrecked. You could see, and that's kind of, like I said, her real belief in herself is, "I deserve to be there. I should be there." So when she thought she wasn't, she was wrecked. And this is a very strong woman. She's not emotional. She rarely cries, but this made her cry. And so we left out those moments when she was being protective of herself. I think, well, it's not the end of the world, because we knew really deep down, and that's, like you said, the inner truth of the character. The inner truth is, it is the end of the world. I've been working all my life towards this. And if I have a shot at the Paralympics, I want to be there.
That's also that's just movie making. Like, if it's not the end of the world, there's no stakes. And if you don't have stakes, you don't have drama, you don't have conflict, you don't have a movie. Was that something also concerning because you have this story of a female athlete, a para-Olympian, and like, was there ever kind of a marketing concern about, well, we don't know how well this story is going to sell. She's not Michael Jordan. She's not and it's a sport that's not like the sexiest sport, kind of thing. It's a sport that, I don't know how huge a fan base badminton has, but was there any concern about sort of the marketability from the film, from you or producers or anything like that?
Definitely. It's not an easy sell. A woman, a disabled woman, an athlete in a sport that half the world loves very much, actually. Badminton does have a big base of support. On the other hand, the people who don't know it at all. I've had so many people just say, "What's badminton?" And I had to say, "Oh, it's a little bit like tennis, but with that feather ball." So a lot of people maybe are not fans of tennis, but they know what tennis is. Badminton, they do not. So it is kind of as esoteric as it comes, and it's not going to be an easy sell. I want to believe that the universal themes of athleticism, any athlete hitting that scary age of 40, any woman hitting that scary age of 40, I'm hoping that this will resonate with everybody worldwide. And again, also how she handled COVID and the interesting way it changed her life in a surprising way that might resonate with some people, but definitely wasn't the most common. I'm hoping this will open doors around the world, but it's not going to be an easy feat. I'm definitely hoping for collaborations with a lot of relevant organizations. Having somebody who's more famous always helps, but I think when people see her, Nina Gorodsetsky, they will fall in love with her so much that hopefully there will be word of mouth when people, and that's the case for every indie, of just people telling people telling people. And I just want to go back to your point about what's left on the cutting room floor, because when I started working on, and as you said, I was writing a screenplay. I'm not just the director and producer, I'm also the writer of the film, because I logged all the footage and then really handpicked what I think would be interesting for a film and wrote a screenplay based on that. And even the first feedback I got about the screenplay from my advisors was, "Oh, this is very long. Not all of this is going to make it to the film." And I remember thinking, "No, this is nothing." And then it was true. It was very long. And then we had to keep thinking, okay, exactly what you said. What really drives the story? What enhances the drama? And you really have to stick to what is pushing the story forward, what's propelling us. And I was also lucky to have Jacob Bricka, an amazing editor, as our consulting editor. So he worked on some Oscar-nominated films, and he loved the film and was very helpful in making those final decisions, as well as Jim Lebrecht, who co-directed Crib Camp, the most important film about disability advocacy and policy in the US. And he was one of my early champions and also very helpful in what is important and how do we leave the rest out.
You have these moments, you're literally like in the hospital with her. You're in her home, you're in her parents' home. You're with her, with her family. But were there challenges related to that, or like what other, like, and traveling and all? What were kind of the big challenges there?
Just coordinating with her is tough because she has such a gruesome full schedule. She trains 6 times a week. She works 2 days a week as a school counselor, and she has a kid in part of the film. Later, maybe more, and I don't want to spoil it, but it's just working around this woman's schedule was not easy at all, which means she wanted to help, but it just a lot of times just wasn't possible. The hardest thing was the Paralympics itself, because the Tokyo Paralympics were during the height of COVID. 300,000 Japanese people signed a petition asking for the Olympics and Paralympics to be canceled, which I could understand why. They were scared of so many people coming in. So this was a Paralympic event without audience. Audience was not allowed. And at some point, I was worried they didn't allow even the athletes to bring their families. They were only allowed to bring one person. So only her head coach was allowed to come. Usually she would bring her entire family. And that was just not possible. So I was worried I'm not even going to be allowed in. And even though I was allowed to come into Japan, I had to do these spit tests every morning for the first week. They were strict, but I understand that's how they kept things very well. I don't remember any outbreak of COVID. I don't remember hearing about anyone who had COVID. I know some people got there or they brought COVID, so they were just locked in the room. So their system definitely worked, and kudos to the Japanese organizing committee for that. But it was hard. I was not allowed into the Paralympic Village. And that was my dream, filming her in the Paralympic Village. And that was not possible. Eventually, it turned out not that important for the film. When we were editing, even so little of Tokyo was left anyway, just because her whole journey was in a way more important than just that end point. So, but while I was filming, I was devastated. I thought, what? That was so fun. My dream to be in a Paralympic Village, show the inside. That was tough. At the time, it felt we were only allowed to film her from 6 feet distance, something like that. And there were people really watching us. And Nina she was like, your family, come give me a hug. And I was like, no, I'm not allowed. And I don't want to be disbarred from the event. So I can't take any risk. And like I said, she's a kick-ass woman. She doesn't listen to anybody. She's like, I don't care. You're coming here and giving me a hug. So I gave her a quick hug when I arrived. Also, I was, what if I did catch something on the plane? Even though I flew basically alone. It was nice, like a private flight, because so few people came.
At this point, so you've gotten to your own Olympics, so to speak. You've gotten into a good festival. Hopefully, you'll have a festival run, I would assume. What are your plans for the film going forward? Like, what do you want to? Do you see it as a theatrical run? Do you see it on streaming? Do you see it screening for special organizations?
Definitely, I would like to collaborate with the WBF, World Badminton Federation, to show it in all badminton clubs. I would like to collaborate with the Paralympics towards Paris 2024 to show it in all adaptive sports and Paralympic clubs around the world. I would say these are the first efforts, film festivals. And then later, yes, a theatrical release supported by all the people who by now have word of mouth from the special screenings and the festivals, and then streaming. That would be great.
For people who want to know more about the film, find you guys, where can they find you online?
Thank you for asking. Please follow me on Facebook, Instagram, or LinkedIn. It's Ravit Markus, R-A-V as in Victor, I-T, M-A-R-K-U-S. I post all the time about everything that's happening, all upcoming screenings. Also, the website of my film company, nulafilms.com, wonderful place to get updates about all my films, including this one, and that is also on an exciting trajectory. And there you have all the information. And you can follow Nina Gorodsetsky on Instagram. And yeah.
You have another project that you're working on? Is there anything you can talk about? Can you give us like a quick soundbite about what you're working on next before we let you go?
I would like to further develop both these projects. I feel that there's potential for other versions, other iterations, maybe film some in the Paris Paralympics. That would be incredible. I'm friends with some people who are going there in different capacities. So that would be incredible.
Anyway, Ravit, it was lovely chatting with you, and good luck with the film. I hope you get everything you want out of it, and come on back for your next one. We'd love to have you.
Thank you very much for having me. It's been a pleasure, Jason.
And that's all the time we have for today. Thanks so much for taking this trip down the rabbit hole. For more of our content, including our movie reviews, visit our website, norestfortheweekendpodcast.com. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcast app or on YouTube, youtube.com/getbehindtherabbit. I'd like to thank my guest, Ravit Markus, and our sponsors, Black Magic Design and JMR Rentals. For Behind the Rabbit Productions, I'm Jason Godbey. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.